I'm talking about the reasons why VR is not going to have mass adoption in its current form. It's just not going to take off. It's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for a lot of people. It might not even be for a few people. It's really fairly niche at the moment, and that kind of sucks because it shows a lot of promise. I'm speaking as someone who is a VR developer. I've developed for the Vive and Oculus. I've used the PlayStation VR. I've basically used everything that's out there right now. And I'm not going to give you a breakdown of like this versus that, or, you know, PlayStation VR versus Oculus or whatever. All that stuff is irrelevant. The best VR experience on the market today that you can buy is the Vive. Everything else, by comparison, sucks. That's where the market is right now. Doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. Almost certainly it won't be. But as of today, that's where things are at. The Vive is the best that you can get. It's also the most expensive. And it's far from perfect. Lots of problems with the Vive. So I'll probably, I don't know, pick a side and put some bullet points up here. One reason why it doesn't work. Cords. Cords suck. Right now there's no way for them to transmit video off of some unit, either a console or a PC or whatever. There's no way for them to send video at a high enough resolution, at a fast enough rate, with to guarantee no lag and all the other issues. There's no way for them to send that rapidly enough and perfectly enough without cords and cables. And cords and cables blow the whole experience right there. Because you're just dancing around, getting yourself wrapped up. You're constantly having to unwind them. Fucking cords. Fuck. Mother shit. In fact, most of my complaints are going to really be about the state of hardware. I mean, if you want, you can just dismiss that. You can dismiss that and say, I don't, you know, that doesn't matter to me. I realize that that's going to be a limitation right now. I think it's a pretty big limitation. Second reason why nobody is going to be playing this en masse is space. In order for it to work, you need to have a large physical space. I've got one here. Big empty room. And up there I've got a base station. It's a sensor that tracks your movement, and you need two of them. So the thing is a bitch to install. And you got to have a big empty space in order to really use it and really take advantage of it. Third reason why it doesn't work: resolution. Maybe resolution is not the right thing. Scratch that off the list. It's like looking through a tunnel in a wet submarine through a little porthole where you can't see anything. Yeah, that's what it's like. I mean, it's cool. It's cool. You can look around and it's like, wow, look over there at everything. But this just becomes a whole sweaty mess. And you're just like looking through a tunnel, and nothing looks right. The resolution is pretty low. You're looking at these little goggles right here. And yeah, let's get a look at that. They're trying to cram as many pixels as they can into each one of these. They have to render the image twice, one for each eye. So this is why it requires such immense hardware right now, because you need to blit millions of pixels per eye, at a very high frame rate. People talk about motion sickness and so forth. I've never personally experienced it, but I can understand how that would be possible if your frame rate starts lagging, or you're just getting a generally low frame rate, coming through these little tunnel vision porthole things, where you don't have a lot of peripheral. You don't really feel like you're in a world. You feel like you're looking through like a periscope into a world. See the difference? Yeah, I mean, I give them points for trying, but The reality is that this, as good as it is, as top of the line as this is the best out there. This is the best you can do. You can't do any better than this. It's you know, ultimately it feels second rate. It feels weird. Fourth reason why it doesn't work: the controllers. First off, okay, again, this is the best that you can get today. I mean, there's, you know, if you have any other option, if you have Gear VR or Oculus or anything else, it's worse than this. Because you're forced to use game controllers or keyboard and mice, and that's just goofy. It's so goofy. I mean, it like defeats the purpose of VR itself. This is not bad. It works for a little while, I think. Works for certain experiences. After a while, especially when you start to do some of the more interactive, detailed virtual reality experiences, and especially as a developer, what you really want are hands, not a controller. I want to be able, as a developer, to track a person's hands in space and know what they're touching and interacting with. They try to use these for some of the best VR experiences. Valve in the Lab, for example, which is bar none the best VR experience out there. They try to use these as hands, but it's clumsy. It's like you have one big finger with a mitten on it, and that's the experience. So you might have this incredibly detailed environment that you can look around and poke and touch, and that's really cool. But you're hampered in the worst possible way by your ability to interact with it. So to me, this feels like a crutch. This is I don't even know if it's a halfway step. It's like a bridge between the old idea of the handheld controller. So I'm using my Xbox PlayStation, to what we really want is hands. I need to be able to reach out and touch it. Now, I think from a technology standpoint, I mean, you could say, sure, the technology's just not there. Fine. I think from a tech standpoint, there's lots of ways to achieve this. Certainly, the sensor precision is there. It's there right now. It wouldn't even have to be a glove. I think there are other ways to do it. But, you know, like I said, this is the best that's out there. That's the reality. Last reason why it's no good. I'm giving you, I guess, like 5 reasons here. Reason number 5. Price. It's all too expensive for what it is. And, until something radical changes with the hardware, the previous 4 reasons I just talked about, unless something really changes in a big way with that, the 5th reason isn't going to resolve itself. If you purchasing a Vive is going to be about $700, maybe $600. I'm not sure exactly. It's $600 or $700 for the goggles and the controllers. You need another $700 for a top-of-the-line video card for your PC. So you're spending at least you're probably spending about $1,500 just on extra hardware just to make that work. That doesn't count the cost of actually having a PC. Now, maybe you already have a top-of-the-line PC. Maybe you already have a top-of-the-line graphics card. All you're missing is the VR hardware. Maybe you've already made that investment. Even if you go and do all that, remember, you need the big-ass room. You need that big empty space. Maybe you have that too. I suppose if you have $1,500 worth of PC hardware that has nothing to do with anything, you probably have a big empty room laying around too. So you're, good for you. You're wealthy, I guess. Even after all that, what you'll find is that the everything in the market today is pretty poorly priced. There's a lot of high cost for little value. It's a bad ROI, if you will. You're paying a premium because currently all the VR developers realize that the market is going to be very, very limited. There's hardly anybody buying this hardware, and so they have to basically overcharge for their software. So you might pay $25 for basically just a little tinker toy of a game. Like, it's the kind of thing that would sell for 99 cents on an iPhone, but because it's on Steam, they have to charge $30, and I'm not exaggerating. It's like that. So that'll drain your wallet so fast. It's expensive. It's very expensive. That's the bottom line. It's just very high cost right now. High cost with a little return. Now, to get back some of the good points, VR is a very fun experience. If you ever get a chance to do it, by all means do it. It might change your life. It might change your perspective. It's pretty neat. And for certain applications, certain enterprises beyond games, VR makes a whole lot of sense. Now, I'm not even going to give you some of the other reasons why everybody else says it sucks or why it doesn't work. But just to name a few of those, people don't like the movement controls. Basically, in VR, it doesn't make sense to walk outside of your physical play space. You have to teleport around. Minecraft in VR is basically done by teleportation. Some people really don't like that. I'm not saying that that's a sucky thing. It makes it different. And I think some of these things, like you have to teleport to move, and how there's effectively no collision, that's kind of a big deal. You can't do first-person shooters. Can't do third-person shooters. Third-person games, adventure-type games in the traditional sense, all those types of games just can't work in VR. They don't work. And I'm not saying all of those limitations are reasons why VR sucks. I think it just makes the platform different, and I think in time, assuming those limitations are still there, and they probably will be, I don't think those problems are going to go away or get solved. I think they're just part of the platform. But people will prove that you can make new and interesting and different kinds of experiences in VR that don't have to use those sort of more traditional gaming details. People will, as a platform, it provides new types of opportunities. So that's interesting.